Hello and welcome to the Long Box Review comic book podcast. I am your host, Eric. Welcome to the show. Today's episode is a pull list review for comics that I read in May of 2022, and I read 47 of them. All right, let's get to the books that I read in May. So during May 2022, I read the following. Iron Man number 16 and 17, Daredevil volume 6, Doing Time, which contains issues 26 through 30. The collected series Solo, the deluxe hardcover edition, which features all 12 issues of that series from DC Comics. Star Trek Year 5, Volume 4, Experienced in Loss, which contains the issues 20 through 25 and the Valentine's Day special. I also read, and I guess sort of reread the first one. Anyway, Future State Legion of Superheroes 1 and 2, which Peter and I talked about in a recent, as of this recording, a recent Tales of the Legion Project podcast, where we looked at the back half of the Suk Bendis Legion run, as well as these two issues. So if you missed that, that's in the feed right now, so go check that out. I also read Nightwing number 91, Batman Superman World's Finest number 2, Batman Catwoman number 11, Saga number 58, Nice House on the Lake number 6, Radiant Black Volume 2 Team Up, which contains issues 7 through 12, Madame Xanadu 1, Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow number 5, Defenders There Are No Rules, which contains issues 1 through 5, but I had already talked about issue number 1 when I read it digitally some time ago, but I got the trade and read it, and that, so I read issues 2 through 5. Green Lantern number 61. This is what volume is that? I guess that's volume 2. Anyway, this was an old issue of Green Lantern that I read on the DC UI app. And then finally, Avengers Volume 1, number 144, which I also read read digitally, but on obviously on the Marvel Unlimited app. Okay, I'm not going to be talking about all these, but a good chunk of them because I had some things to say. So I don't know, maybe this is your first time listening to one of my pull list reviews. Either way, if you're a longtime listener or a new listener, what I do on these pull list reviews is just give a few quick thoughts about the books that I read during the month. And I don't go into a lot of detail here, but here are my general thoughts about some of these books. So I'll start with Iron Man. I think I'm mostly talking about issue 16. I don't remember exactly now. But anyway, Tony comes back to Earth as the quote-unquote Iron God. At least that's the text, I guess the solicitation text or the description. I don't think he's actually referred to that in the story. But anyway, he's confronted by the Avengers, and you can just imagine someone on that team, probably Cap, is thinking, "Oh, great, another one of us has God-level power again." Anyway, Tony's like, "Hey, look at Thor. It's the same vibe. I'm like Thor, and Thor." I like these little details that the creators throw in here. Thor replies, "Verily, it is not." Anyway, Tony doesn't appreciate the mistrust that he's feeling from his teammates, and basically tells them to buzz off. But he gifts everyone in the world. I think the world. Would it be the universe? I don't remember. Definitely the world. Everyone with his intellect, causing some somewhat funny moments with the characters. Some characters I don't know. There was one in particular, a guy that was riding around in this, I don't know, this souped up vehicle. I can't remember his name now, but it was pretty funny. Yeah, that was just a lot of fun. All right, I'm moving on to another Marvel comic, Daredevil Volume 6, Doing Time. This is the Checchetto Zdarsky, also Hawthorne de Benedetto and Menes, as it says on the cover of the trade collection run of this. So this is, like I said, Volume 6. I'm still enjoying this, but I'm starting to I think I was kind of feeling this towards the beginning of this run. This seems like a variation of themes I've read in Daredevil before. For example, Daredevil doubting himself, trying to make amends, Elektra helping him out, although she does take on a sidekick, so that's sort of new. But Daredevil has taken on a sidekick in the past. So Kingpin trying to kill Murdoch again. And then finally, spoilers here, at the very end of this collection in issue 30, Bullseye is back. So I imagine in volume 7, we'll get yet another confrontation between Daredevil and Bullseye. Really, the only interesting part about this story to me that was different, that was new, was seeing Elektra trying to live up to Matt's conditions, his ideals of being Daredevil, and her chafing against those restrictions. So that was kind of fun. I enjoyed that. Plus, I really like her Daredevil outfit. That's really cool. The way that they designed that, a mixture of her Elektra outfit and a Daredevil costume. So I don't know. She kind of looks better than Matt does. Anyway, I'm starting to wonder if I will continue with this run of Daredevil. So what I don't remember, I said volume 7 earlier, but what I don't remember is there a volume 7 before they canceled, or I guess not canceled, but they put the book on pause. I think they just recently relaunched it. So I don't know if I'm going to be coming back to this. I might get volume 7 if there is one, but I don't know if I'll be coming back for the relaunch of this. So anyway, all right. Next up is Solo from DC. So if you are not familiar with this is Mark. What is his name? Mark Chiarello. This was his brainchild, I think. Anyway, I'll read this. Yeah, here's a description of this from editor Mark Chiarello. Solo was conceived as an anthology series to spotlight the work of different comic book artists in each issue. The creators were free to tell stories in any genre and to use DC's library of characters as they saw fit, or not. They could also work with writers if they chose, but the intention of the series was for them to show off the range of their own individual artistic sensibilities and abilities. And I have to say, this was a delight. I've had this deluxe edition hardcover on my bookshelf for years, and it's just been sitting there waiting for me to tackle it. And for some reason during May, I decided to pull it out and start reading it. And I was reading like one issue a night as I went to bed before I went to sleep. And there's so many wonderful artists in here, and you get exposed to what they can do and stuff I've never seen before. Artists whose work I have seen before, but they're doing something a little differently. Artists I know very well, others I didn't or hadn't even heard of before. So, this was great. I highly recommend you seek this out. I'm pretty sure it's on the DC Universe app. I don't know if this book is still in print, the collection. I know the issues are out there. But this was getting this deluxe hardcover edition was a nice way to get, be exposed to all this stuff. And this is from 2004 that they released the original series. I don't know when I got the hardcover. Looks like it came out in 2013. All right. Anyway, I'm not going to go through all these. In fact, I may save that for a in-depth look at these things. I will, however, tell you who was involved in these 12 issues and some of my favorites. So this includes work by Tim Sale, Richard Corbin, Paul Pope, Howard Chaykin, Darwin Cook, Jordy Burnett, Mike Allred, Teddy Christensen, Scott Hampton, Damian Scott, Sergio Aragones, and Brendan McCarthy. And some of these artists, such as Tim Sale, had stories in here that were written by other people, such as Jeff Loeb, Brian Azzarello, Darwin Cook, etc. And so I think, let's see here, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, just 3. Paul Pope, Howard Chaykin, and Darwin Cook are the only ones who did not work with a writer in some of this stuff. And it's not one story per issue. It's several. It's 3 or 4, I think, depending on what it is they're doing. A couple of them, I think, have pinups. Yeah, it's just a lot of eclectic and wonderful work from these artists. So anyway, let's see here. In particular, like I said, I won't go into detail, but I really like the Supergirl short story by Tim Sale, the Robin story by Paul Pope. That was really interesting. The memoir-like story Horrors by Howard Chaykin, which is kind of funny because I really didn't like his other stuff in this offering, but his kind of autobiographical or testimonial, I'm not sure. Or I said memoir like, but it's not really a memoir anyway. But I like that about it. I guess maybe because it's about him. It's from his voice, his perspective about horrors in a way. And I like I said, I'm not going to go into detail about it, but I thoroughly loved the entire Darwin Cook issue, and part of that has to do with there was a bridging bit of this that kind of connected things, or at least threaded you through the various stories that Cook had in here. So I really liked how he put it together. It wasn't just the art, it was the storytelling, it was the construction of the issue that I really liked. Same goes for the Michael Allred issue, although less so than Darwin Cook's. But especially I like the Doom Patrol versus Teen Titans story and the Batman A Go-Go story, which, as much as I love Teen Titans, that Batman A Go-Go story was pretty cool. The Dead Men story by Teddy Christensen. This was also written by Neil Gaiman, which I think in part contributes as to why I like it so much. But that was kind of it was a ghost story, obviously, Dead Men, but Dead Men being, well, not haunted. Well, kind in a sense he's haunted, but that was a nice little story. There was an 8-page pinup collection of Superman by Damian Scott that was really cool. Just the colors, the way that Scott drew Superman to evoke what Scott thought of Superman, what Superman represents to Scott. That was phenomenal. And then finally, pretty much everything in the Sergio Aragonés issue, especially the autobiographical or his historical vignettes, those were really good. I mean, Aragonés is a wonderful cartoonist, and there's some really great stuff in his issue of Solo. So anyway, I might come back to this at some point because it really does deserve it, and you really should check out Solo if you possibly can. All right, on to an IDW book, Star Trek Year 5, Volume 4, Experienced in Loss. This is probably one of my favorites of this collection of things that I read in May, because I love Star Trek. But I have been loving this entire run since the beginning, and I've been getting it in trade collection. And so this, like I said, this is the, or no, I didn't say this. This is the final set of issues of this Star Trek run. And so it went up to issue 25, and this also includes the Valentine's Day special, which actually, I believe this collection opens up with that. And as I was reading through, I'm like, wait, this is weird. Why? I was confused as to what came before in volume 3. And when I started reading this, I expected the story to continue, and it didn't. It was this other thing. And then I got to the end, and I'm like, oh, it's the Valentine's Day special. It actually includes a pinup of Spock holding his Vulcan lyre, and it says, "I have been and always shall be your Valentine." How sweet. Anyway, this was so good. This whole series has been so much fun. It's been written like episodes. I think every 2 issues is like considered an episode, or maybe it's 3 issues. Sometimes it's 2, and sometimes it seems like it's 2 or more, but that's how they do it. It's written like episodes of the series, and so you have a beginning, a middle, and end of the story, and then you have the next episode. Like I said, we get to the end of the series, which is also the end of Kirk and Company's 5-year mission, and the resolution of ongoing season plot threads that has been running through these 25 issues, involving primarily the Tholians and Gary 7. So if you're familiar with that character, which there's a tie to that in Picard season 2. So that was interesting that I was reading these, or reading this book and watching Picard concurrently. There's a Gary Seven connection in Picard, like I said. Anyway, besides the wonderful season-long arc that we get with the Tholians and Gary Seven, and the end of the 5-year mission, I actually really enjoyed the Valentine's Day special. And I remember now that I was contemplating, I should say, pre-ordering that Valentine's Day special when it was solicited. And I decided for some reason, decided not to do it. I don't know. Well, probably because I figured it would be collected. And fortunately, I was right, because I really enjoyed that story. It has Kirk pairing up with another captain, a female captain, and we get to see their relationship over several years. So from the original series time through Star Trek: The Motion Picture time and later. So we get to see that progression of their relationship. Anyway, this is probably the best comic book series featuring the original series cast in terms of art, especially the likenesses, story, lore, and the characters. So if you're a Star Trek fan and you've not checked out this IDW series, Star Trek Year 5, you definitely should. All right. From one thing that I love, Star Trek, to another, Nightwing number 91. I continue to love the love that Dick Grayson receives from his friends in this title. This time it's specifically from Wally West Flash, who shows up to help him out. In this issue, the KG Beast is back. And I just want to read this little bit from Wally when Wally encounters the KG Beast. Now, I guess I need to preface this by saying that KG Beast is the one who shot Dick Grayson in the head, which caused him to become the horrendous Rick Grayson. I'm sorry, I hated that storyline, and I barely read it. So KG Beast is there. He's attacking Nightwing and Flash goes after him and says this: "I know you can't hear me, but I still want to say this. That will be the last time you ever point a gun at Nightwing. I try not to hold a grudge. I'm a fairly easygoing and forgiving guy, but you have joined a select list of truly terrible people I will never forgive. You tried to murder my friend. You almost succeeded. You almost took away one of the greatest heroes and one of the best people I know. So every time you try to step out of line from now on, I will be there to stop you. And I have the time to do it, Anatoly. I can make more time than most." See what I mean? God, I love this. I love what Taylor and Redondo are doing with this character in this book. Later in the story, we get a variation of a theme, which has already occurred in this run so far, but we get John Kent Superman and some of the Titans showing up at the end to break up this assassins or to capture a bunch of these assassins that Dick Grayson discovered in his investigation. So this is kind of becoming like a stealth New Teen Titans book that we've always wanted. And I'm okay with that. All right, on to another book that I am thoroughly loving, Batman Superman World's Finest. And as I've started to think of it in the shorthand as Bizwiff, because of fellow podcasters Waiting for Doom, or from the show Waiting for Doom. That's how they refer to it. So Bizwiff, number 2. So I gushed about issue number 1 last time on the Pull List review for April. And the fun here continues with the appearance of Supergirl and this added element of friction between her and Robin. So she arrives on the scene to travel into the past at Superman's request so that Robin, under Batman's request, can discover how the House of, I think it's pronounced G, defeated the demon Neza. I don't know. However, when she arrives, the Supergirl and Robin greet each other with I'll say, professional irritation. Superman asks if there's a problem, and they both quickly answer nope at the same time. Later, Supergirl is carrying Robin as they're about to break into the time barrier and go to the past. And so I wanted to read that little exchange. I just freaking love this stuff. All right. So, like I said, she's carrying him, although I'm not quite sure how, by the way it's being depicted. It's one flaw in the art. Anyway, she says, "Nice pants. Trying them out." "We're on a mission," she says. "I'm well aware," Robin says. "So we should keep any conversation professional." "Agreed." There's a couple beats. And then Robin exclaims, "It was an accident." Supergirl, "You were showing off. Who knew there'd be a monkey there? And you wore your costume." "The fountain was already half empty. Were you raised in a circus? You weren't much help with the avalanche. I did not flirt with the server." Robin, "Just fly." So, I don't know what this is about, but I am all curious. I just love this. This is great storytelling. Teasing this past event, whatever it is, and causing or creating a bit of characterization between these two that we've never seen before, at least not as far as I know. So this is wonderful storytelling on Maura and Wade's part. And will we ever get to discover what that exchange was about? Yeah, good stuff. Speaking of Maura, he did a wonderful mirroring of the two couples in this story, Supergirl and Robin, and Superman and Batman. So in the past, Robin and Supergirl are surrounded. This is towards the end of the issue. They're surrounded by the champions of G, and at I think the very last page of the issue, Batman and Superman are also surrounded by demons, and both sets of heroes are in the same poses. So I like that. I like that mirroring that he did there, and I didn't even notice that the first time I read through it. It was only when I was collecting my thoughts, taking notes about the issue that I noticed that. So that's really cool. Okay, I listened to a bunch of comic book podcasts, and I have heard a few times now people making comments about how no one's talking about Saga. And I thought, I have not really talked about Saga other than, I think, just to point out that it's back. I just want to say, I love this. I still love this. They didn't miss a beat coming back to it. This is issue 58. So I've only read, just a few issues since they brought it back. And it's as wonderful and beautiful as ever. I will add that, Saga frequently has oh shit moments for me and for a lot of people, I think. And the last page of this issue was no exception. And I only have one thing to say to Vaughn and Staples. Pardon my language. Don't you fucking dare kill Goose. I'm glad we had this talk. Okay, moving on to Radiant Black Volume 2 Team Up. I have to say, while I wasn't as enamored with Volume 2 as I was with the first volume, Issue 10's story Existence is a visual delight. Artists Marcelo Costa and colorists Igor Monti and Sabrina Del Grosso give us something you rarely see in superhero comic books, and that is using the line art and the color to depict existential or emotional states of being in a much grander way than I'm used to seeing, I guess. The art gets more and more, what's the word? Simpler, primal, maybe is the better term, as the story continues, stripping the main character Marshall down to what are essential truths for him. So that issue was, I would almost say, is worth the price of the whole collection. So yeah, that was really good. The color, I mean, I don't know what page it is, but there's this explosion of color, and one of the panels that is, I don't know, it's like the artist took a bunch of paint and just threw it onto a canvas and then turned that into a comic book panel. It's beautiful, beautiful stuff. All right, got two more books here for us. Okay, so I guess somewhat similarly, there's some similar stuff going on in this next book, Defenders, There Are No Rules, collecting the 5-issue series. Like I said before, I read issue 1 digitally on Marvel Unlimited and knew immediately, within 2 pages, that I had to get these issues. I had to get the collection. And I was not disappointed. It was a fun story involving magic, cosmic beings, and universes prior to the Marvel 616 one. So that's the eighth cosmos? So I forget how they refer to these things. So anyway, we get this wonderful story of Doctor Strange assembling his defenders, which includes Cloud, Red She-Hulk, Silver Surfer, and the Masked Raider from Marvel Comics 1000. I mean, and others too, but most recently in Marvel Comics 1000. So yeah, the Javier Rodriguez art is genius. It fits this story so well, especially when I get to talking about some of this other stuff in the later issues. But it's so playful on the page. There's these wonderful panel arrangements and movements across the page. It's just wonderful stuff. Let's see here. And OMG, Taya? I'm going to say Taya, who is the mother of Galactus in one of the previous cosmoses that the Defenders travel through. And they collect other people like Taya as they go. She is a hoot. Everything she said is loud and bombastic and ended with exclamation points, like an old Kirby comic. She was great, and I hope to see more of her in the future. I think she comes back for the second Defenders miniseries that Al Ewing is writing. I don't know if Javier Rodriguez is doing the art on that one. Boy, I hope so. Anyway, the Defenders examine different states of existence as they enter each preceding cosmoses. Anyway, in issue 4, they go to and here's where it gets really good. In issue 4, they go to the fourth cosmos, which is one of archetypes. And of course, we see archetypes of some Marvel characters, such as 1 is 4, which is an archetype of Hulk, of Past, which is Captain America, of Future, which is Iron Man, and What Must Be, which is Galactus. But they're recognizable, but they are stripped down to their most essential visual aspects so that you know who it is, but it's obviously not going to be Captain America standing there. So that whole idea was really cool. And then I think towards the end of that issue, they step through a portal, which on the other side, as we see them step through the portal, we see the portal behind them, but it is a comic book page with panels and everything. I thought that was a nice bit of meta commentary or meta quality about this, which leads me to ask, so comic books are archetypal? Is that what they're going for? Then they travel to the third cosmos, which is minimalistic, and the Defenders witness a battle between. So you go from like these names, these very archetypal names of 1 is 4, of Past, like that, right, to things that to the two core concepts of is and is not. Sort of like good versus evil, but not moralistically. So Ewing and Rodriguez are just firing in all cylinders with this series. At the end of that conflict between is and is not, the remaining Defenders are returned to their respective cosmoses, but before they do, we see them as they say their goodbyes, and they're depicted simply as pencil art in the panels as they kind of fade out. I thought that I love this crap. This is so good. Yeah, this book is definitely going down as one of my favorite reads of the year. Okay, and then finally, I mentioned Avengers Volume 1, number 144. So I think in one of the previous pull list reviews, I mentioned Hellcat in relation to the Iron Man book. And I said I wanted to read more Hellcat. There's just something about that character. I like the costume design, the really simple costume design. I honestly didn't really know much about Patsy Walker, and what are Hellcat's powers and what's her story. I know of her comic book origin as a romance character who then they transitioned into Hellcat. So I decided to see what Marvel Unlimited had to offer, and I found this issue. I think this was the first in which Patsy Walker. Maybe not. Maybe it was the first time in Avengers. I'm not sure. Anyway, it does have her, Patsy Walker, donning this costume for the first time. I think maybe this is the first appearance of Hellcat, whereas she may have appeared previously as just the cat in a Marvel 2-in-1, perhaps. I might be wrong about that. You Marvelites out there who know these things better can let me know. So I just wanted to read this first appearance of Hellcat, and then I start reading it, and I'm pleasantly surprised to discover that not only do I get that, but this issue was drawn by George Perez. So the story is actually quite light on Hellcat content, but there is a nice, I think it's a splash page. If not, it's a large panel on the page, but it shows Patsy Walker in the Hellcat costume for the first time. So it's got this great Perez pose of her as Hellcat. So I have already read more of these. As at the time of this recording, just the other night, I read 3 issues in a row as well to continue that story. But that is a conversation for another pull list review in the future. And with that, I'm going to close the book on this pull list review for the May 2022 comic books that I have read. I hope you enjoyed this. If you have any comments or suggestions for things for me to read, or you'd like to hear me talk more about some of these books, let me know. You can send an email to longboxreview@gmail.com. I also can get texts and voice messages at my Google phone number, 208-953-1841. And of course, I'm on the other socials at Longbox Review, all one word. And with that, thanks for listening, and I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.